So, we've all been hearing for years that AI is just going to keep getting smarter and smarter forever, right? More data, more power, more intelligence. But what if that's not the whole story? We need to talk about this because there's a hidden crisis brewing, a really weird paradox, where the very thing designed to make AI smarter is actually making it dumber.
And the reason why is, well, it's shockingly simple. We've basically used up the human internet. Yeah, the whole thing. Every book, every tweet, every scientific paper, every rambling post on Reddit, it's all been scanned, scraped, and fed into these massive AI models. So what happens now that the buffet is empty? The AI has started learning from itself. It's reading its own writing and treating it as fact, creating this giant global echo chamber.
This whole bizarre phenomenon has a name. It's called model collapse. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a kind of digital inbreeding. You know the story of the Habsburg royal family, right? They were famous for that distinctive jawline that got more and more extreme over generations. Well, it's the same idea. When an AI only learns from other AI-generated stuff, it loses all its diversity. It gets boring, it gets repetitive, and eventually, it just starts spouting complete and utter nonsense.
So, here's what we're going to break down today. We're going to start with this incestuous loop of AI learning. Then we'll get into that Habsburg effect. After that, we'll look at the wild hunt for fresh human data, explore why just making better AI data isn't as easy as it sounds, and finally, we'll talk about what all this means for you and why your own human weirdness is suddenly a superpower.
All right, let's dive right into the heart of the problem, this incestuous loop. This is the engine that drives the whole thing downhill, and once you get this, everything else will make perfect sense.
The difference here is just night and day. On one hand, you've got human-generated data. It's a beautiful mess, right? It's filled with nuance, inside jokes, slang that changes by the week, and all those bizarre edge cases that make life interesting. But AI-generated data, it's a smoothed-out, simplified average of all that. It just reflects the most common, most probable patterns it's already seen, and it throws away all the weird, outlier stuff that actually leads to real creativity.
Okay, so let's get into the science of it, which was laid out in this absolutely brilliant paper from Oxford University. They're the ones who really nailed this whole Habsburg effect of data.
So the researchers pinpointed something they called the Curse of Recursion. Here's the deal. When an AI model starts training on its own output over and over, it begins to forget the extremes. It literally loses the tails of the data distribution. And what does that mean in plain English? It means it forgets rare words, it forgets unique opinions, it forgets fringe ideas, and all the complicated logic that ties them together. It just drifts toward the bland, statistical middle.
And you won't believe how fast this all goes downhill. The first generation model, the one trained on all that rich human data, is amazing. It's capable, it's diverse. But by the fifth generation, after it's been learning from the fourth, it's pretty much just repeating the same common ideas. And by generation 10, the mistakes have piled up so much that it's just producing gibberish. It's like the model has developed digital dementia. It's forgotten what reality even looks like. And this is the key. You have to understand, this is not about AI just hitting a plateau or some kind of limit to its intelligence. Nope. This is way, way more serious. The AI is actively getting worse. It's forgetting things it used to know. This is what everyone in the industry is now calling the memory wall. It's that point where the AI's memory of the real human world just collapses. Now, as you can imagine, a crisis like this has kicked off a frantic, almost desperate gold rush. So let's look at the great data land grab and why your old digital comments have suddenly become incredibly valuable. All those strange headlines from the last year or so, they suddenly make perfect sense. Why on earth did OpenAI pay a fortune for Reddit's entire history of posts? Why is Google suddenly so interested in data from places like Stack Overflow? It's because they are starving, absolutely starving, for new, raw, unpredictable human data. It is the only known cure for model collapse. It really boils down to this. In this new era we're in, fresh, human-generated data isn't just valuable, it's the new oil. It is the one essential resource that every single AI company needs to stop their multi-billion-dollar models from turning into useless, repetitive machines. And this is where you come into the picture. Yeah, you. Every time you post a unique thought online, or write a detailed review, or get into an argument in a comment section, you are creating a tiny anchor to reality for these AIs, a stabilizer. Without a constant IV drip of our messy, unpredictable data, the AI just gets trapped in that recursive loop, where it starts hallucinating about its own past hallucinations.
Okay, so the logical question here is, can't we just fix this? Can't we just engineer a way out of the problem and create better AI-generated data? Well, let's get into why that's so much harder than it sounds.
I know what you're probably thinking. Why can't we just make better synthetic data? Tell an AI to be more creative, be more diverse, and generate those weird edge cases that it keeps forgetting. It's a great question, and it's exactly what scientists have been desperately trying to do. The number one attempt right now is something called curated synthetic data. The idea is pretty clever. You take your absolute best, smartest, most expensive AI model, like a GPT-5 or whatever comes next, and you use it as a master teacher to create perfect training data for the smaller, cheaper models. It's like a master artist teaching an apprentice. In theory, it's a great way to pass on wisdom. But, and this is a huge but, there's a fatal flaw. That Oxford paper is crystal clear on this point. The errors are cumulative. You see, even the best AI model in the world makes tiny mistakes, little misinterpretations. And when those tiny errors get passed down from the teacher to the student, generation after generation, they don't get fixed. They get bigger. They amplify.
So what this all means is this. Without a source of genuine newness, what mathematicians call entropy, which is basically just a fancy word for surprise or unpredictability, the whole system will always collapse back toward the average. The AI will always default to the safest, most probable, and frankly, most boring answer. It loses that spark of genius, because genius, by its very definition, is unpredictable. It's improbable. Which brings us to our final and maybe most important part. What does this all mean for us? For our jobs, our skills, our creativity? Well, the answer is actually surprisingly good news. This chart pretty much says it all. As AI keeps eating its own tail, the internet is just being flooded with generic, average AI-made content, so its value is dropping like a rock, straight to zero. But at the exact same time, the value of unique, surprising, unpredictable human content is skyrocketing. There is now a huge, and I mean huge, premium on genuine human creativity. So what are these super valuable traits? It's your unpredictability, it's your deep, niche knowledge about some random hobby, it's your weirdness. It's your ability to connect two things that no one else would. It's having opinions that an AI trained on the boring average of humanity would never, ever see coming. That right there, that is your new competitive advantage. And this right here is the really profound takeaway. The memory wall proves that AI, at least as we know it, can't replace human culture. It can only create a giant, searchable archive of it. To keep that fire of intelligence burning, it needs us to keep throwing new logs on it. Let's just end on that thought for a moment. The memory wall isn't just some technical glitch for engineers to patch. It's a philosophical reminder of what AI really is. It's a mirror. It's just reflecting our own collective intelligence back at us. It is not a source of new intelligence itself. And if we, the source, stop creating, well, that mirror goes dark. So I'll leave you with this question. Is AI doomed to become this boring, stale echo chamber? Or are we going to find a way to break this curse of recursion? Your own unique, unpredictable mind might just be the thing that holds the answer. And in this strange new world, that mind of yours is more valuable than you can possibly imagine.